It looks like we're all pretty much set, so let's go ahead and get started. So, as I may have popped by this before, this is a little bit about me and my school. And last image, obviously, was a QR code. So, hopefully, you are starting to recognize these, and we'll talk a little bit briefly about those, but mostly about the uses of them in your classroom and around your school and community. I have a lot of buy-in at my school. This is our entire student body and our teachers. But I will tell you, between our teachers and our students, we have probably about 720 people. And the QR code that I created required 930 pixels, or people, whichever you want to call them, for that day. So we actually had to recycle some people. This is we do a grade whole school picture every year. And my principal charged me with trying to make a QR code. So we actually did it in 3 sections. And right about here, this bottom section, then we have our middle section, and then the top section. So I take some people from the bottom section and reuse them in the middle section, and then thus forth and back and forth and stuff to make it. So that was our original QR code, which we tried to replicate. I should have done a slight bit more plain, because as you look at your PDF, you'll notice right here, the same woman is sitting right next to herself. So I figure next time I should do a little bit better planning and separate her, because she was in the very back row of the first group and the front row of the second group. But live and learn. So I had to put that together with Photoshop. And yes, it will scan if you tweak the brightness just enough in Photoshop. But it would just take you to our website, which I'm using as a dynamic QR code, which we'll also talk about here in just a little bit. My name is Kirk Kohls. I am a school-based technology specialist for Fairfax County Public Schools. In Fairfax, we like to make an acronym for everything, so a lot of you may have heard of ITRTs. We do the same exact thing. I'm at an elementary school, a K through 6 school. I've been there. This is my 9th year doing it, and I've had a great time. I love to find out about these new technologies and make them really innovative around our school setting. So a couple years ago, was watching Hall Davidson here at ISTE, and he started talking about QR codes and the scavenger hunt around his community, and I think this was about 4 years ago. Idea dropped off my head for a moment, and then about a year later, I started picking it up again and started to play around with it a lot. So my guess is, by this point, if I heard about 4 years ago and you've seen them all over, more than likely you've seen a QR code. So raise your hand if you've seen a QR code and are familiar with them. I do it this way so that I don't say, if you don't know what a QR code is, put your hand up and have you be embarrassed like that. But even if you don't, that's why we're here today, to learn about these crazy little barcodes that you're going to see. It is like an electronic thumbprint. They are all different. Each of those squiggles will mean something different, and we'll talk a little bit about the parts of the QR code here momentarily as well. They've actually been around for quite a while. They've been around since 1994, so 19 years now. They were started in Japan to help track auto parts, so they would use them, and as they would go around the country, they could track them and see where they ended up and things of that nature. But then these barcodes are actually 2-dimensional barcodes, so they're not just a traditional like UPC straight line barcode. They actually can contain a variety of information. You also probably have started to see these a little bit more now, where you'll see an actual QR code and then something inside. That's because they have up to a 30% error rate, and so you can actually start to put logos and different images within these QR codes, because what they're reading is that square, and that square are what they're using to target themselves on. And then as well, this one's not as easily read, but it's right about in here. There's another 4th square. You can see that on this one a lot better. This one a lot better right there. As you start to add more and more information into a QR code, it's going to start change and add more and more squiggles. So you can see that this one is fairly open. I'm just going to go back, see how much denser that one is. So we're going to start to talk a little bit about that as well. So you're going to see them in entertainment. You'll see them on TV. You'll see them in magazines. You'll see them all sorts of different places. You'll see them in the arts. This is a poster of Picasso. And His hair. His hair is a bunch of QR codes. I imagine you can figure out where these QR codes may go. Where do you think? His pictures, information about his paintings. So these QR codes can take you off to websites, and they can contain information. And so we started to think, how in the world can we start to use that around our school? So this is an aerial photograph of our school. So we have our school area here, and we... Oh, that's because I hit the wrong button. That's great. I love that. All right. So here's our school. See, you don't have to use the laser pointer very much. Inside our school, we have 3 gardens, and so these are within our walls, which is actually really nice because they're not really disturbed. And we have put different QR codes around there to help talk to them about the different plants and animals they'll see around there. We also have a garden across our school, which is I'm in Northern Virginia, just a few miles outside of Washington, D.C. And right across there, these are plants that were done for an Eagle Scout project, and they are all Virginia native plants. So we have QR codes set up there so that the passersby, the community members, can stop by, scan the codes, and learn about the different items there. And we also have, down back behind our field, we have a little stream running by. Same type of thing. The students can take out iPads, netbooks, and go use the QR codes to explore about the ecology around the stream, take pictures, draw about erosion, things of those natures. Now, so we're going to be using a QR code. So I'm not sure, well, you can see now what QR stands for, but before today, I wonder if you knew what the QR stood for. It's for quick response, because we want to be able to use these QR codes, these quick response codes for students, especially when you have a BYOD program. Just since I've been here at the conference, I've tried to type in my smartphone several times and continually get the wrong address. If you have a code, all you do is scan it, and it's going to take you right to that website. It's going to make your life a lot quicker and a lot easier, especially with a bunch of students trying to move on with the lesson and everybody trying to type in there. Some of the things that QR code can contain are calendar events, contact information, email addresses, geolocation information, phone numbers, SMS texts, and when you see the word text down there, that's a different type of text, which we'll talk about as well. URLs, which is probably your primary use that you're going to utilize these for, and then even Wi-Fi networks. And this is just a list from the QR code creator that I like to use, and we'll talk about that a few slides away from now. So that's technically how they should be placed and how they looked. But as we mentioned, they're two-dimensional. They get scanned vertically and horizontally. Technically, and some of my teachers just like to mess with me because they know that it really irks me, they like to turn them in different directions. But that's the way they're supposed to be, with those 3 squares in those positions and then this other little square in the bottom right. So I have one particular who really likes to do that. But once you scan those codes, you're going to get the information that's associated with them. Whether it be contact information, it's going to now be put into your contacts on your phone. How great would that be on open house night for back to school? Parents don't have to talk to you all about getting everything. They just scan it, boom, it's in your phone, and now you can talk to them about the things you really want to talk to them about. The curriculum, the behavior charts, things of those natures. So, reading the code. First, you're going to need a reader. We talked about that on the very introductory slide. So you're not going to just say, okay, we have to have a project. First, you want to kind of deploy and figure out what type of reader you're going to want and what's going to work best for your situation. And yes, I know there's old technology on here. We're just going to keep moving by it because some people still have those, myself included. We actually have BlackBerries, iPhones up here, and Droids. My district, they gave out BlackBerries to the admin for communications, obviously. And once they decided to run their course and they gave out the iPhones, a bunch of BlackBerries sitting there. Well, I started thinking, I have a device now that has a camera. I have a device that also picks up Wi-Fi. We have public Wi-Fi around all of our buildings. Now I have a class set of cameras, /video cameras, /QR code readers that can do whatever I want. So yes, BlackBerries are still going to stay on my list because nothing wrong with them. They work absolutely fine. And there is iPhone. iPod Touches also work just fine. iPad Minis, iPads, all those work out great. As long as you have a camera and an internet connection, you're going to be doing great. And then Droids, I love my Droid too, so can't get mad about that. So those are all of our mobile devices. So this is something hopefully many of you may not have been very much aware of. There is also a program that can run on laptops, netbooks, desktops, as long as you get a webcam to go along with it. And that's a product called QuickMark, also free. And what it does is it will pop up a little box on your screen, and if you have a webcam attached, you can click on the webcam, and now your desktop is actually a QR code scanner. A couple ISTEs ago, a group was talking about how they would keep it in the library for book reviews. So there's another great idea that you can do about a book review. Read the book, write up a book review, and then link it to a QR code and stick it on the back of the book. When kids are checking out the book, they take it over, scan the QR code, read the review. Sounds like a book I might want to read or not, and then they can move on. But QuickMark is the application that you'd want to use on a non-mobile device. They also do have the mobile version for them as well, because they want to keep up with the times too. So, but definitely works on those others. So you can either go to tinyurl.com/qm-iste13, or you can type in the long URL. So, step one is you need to have a reader. How are you going to be reading all these codes? Now we figured that out more or less. And now we need to think of our project. So this is the meat of what we're going to talk about today, our idea of how to use them. So these are things that we've done in our school, and I've done with some friends of mine to help promote the use of QR codes in the classroom. And one such example is one of my 5th grade teachers, for her back to school open house time while the kids are meeting the teacher. She'll have the prime time chart set up on her bulletin board, along with a QR code down there and an iPad sitting nearby. So the students' jobs are to take out the different cards of the numbers that they don't feel are prime. And I don't recall actually whether it's prime or not prime. But this is her way of just kind of getting them back into the mode of school, what's going on with that. And then once they scan the code at the bottom, up would pop a chart on the iPad so that they could then match the chart on the wall with the chart that they see on there. So you can use QR codes a lot of times for a self-correction type of a situation. Now I know on the handout this is the picture that's not back on there, so just kind of remember just a little pocket chart, and then the code will take you to whatever image you put there. So now that's talking about this chart. So we said it could go to a website, and we said it could go to text, but this is a picture. So how does it do that? What you need to do is work with your tech specialist at your school. Maybe you have access to Google Sites in your district. Take the image. You got to put it on the web somewhere so that it can pull that off. Okay? Even if it's an image that you find somewhere else that you'd like to use, just get the URL for it, plug it into your QR code creator, and then now when they scan it, the image is going to pop up there. We'll talk a little bit more about how we used images at my school as well. So this is the same teacher. She has her students interview and present resumes for her classroom jobs. How fun is that? She's fantastic. She's one of those, I say, Sarah, and she actually, the whole on Vert thing, that's all her. So if she watches the video, she has to know, I said it's all because of Sarah, that's the reason why we did this. But what she does is she has them interview for their jobs, and they have to give experience, and then they also can work on a blog or website and give out more information or references. And so she allows them to hook up a QR code to send them on that way, so that they're looking even more professional and things along those lines. Now some of you, I'm colorblind, so I don't always notice things, but some of you may have noticed that there are different colors around those boxes. That is because at the time we were using a service called BWScan. I wouldn't write it down because it hasn't seemed to work as regularly, but BWScan is a form of dynamic code QR code creator. So just stick that in the back of your brain, but that's why that one is a little bit different. So in our library, we have had this painter commissioned by our PTA who has been working on a mural all around the library to kind of take care of that dead area. And the mural is all about our standards of learning. And each, again, the whole color thing, each color apparently, they tell me, goes to different areas of society, the different continents. And so we have the Americas, we have Asia, things of that nature. So I'm thinking, this is a beautiful mural that has all this social studies information on it. We got to make this interactive for the kids one way or another. So along the pillars, I have, well, here's a snippet of the actual picture. So this is going to actually give you your gives you your answer about when Greek city-states developed. Spoiler alert. And then this was the mural that I put up there. So you have a bunch of different questions that the kids would have to then look up at the mural and try and figure out. And then once they figured it out, they would scan the QR code. Now, as we scan the QR code, remember at the very beginning we talked about how you could make an SMS text, which would actually send a text via a phone to someone? That's a text, like you're texting someone. QR codes can also handle just word text. So what this code's going to look like, we're going to try multiple technologies here. We're going to switch over to the iPad and get my QR code scanner. That's looking better. All right, so here's my scanner. And I'm going to take it down here, scan it. Oh, I think it caught one of those other ones over there. Nope, I don't want to copy. So when did they develop? In 750 BC. So y'all see that there in the upper left-hand corner? So when I scanned it, so when did they develop? They developed in 750 BC. And all I did was I scanned the code, and we'll see some more of this in a minute, but you're going to get text on your screen instead. So that was going back to this question here. I think I hit the feudal one, and that's why I said feudal. But they have lots of text available on them when you do your different codes. And we'll see some writing examples here in a few minutes. Our GT teacher, our advanced academics teacher, set up a display in front of the library, and she hooked up a microscope, which went to a laptop, and allowed the students to guess what in the world do you see underneath the microscope, what's showing up there on the computer. And so she gave them a piece of paper that gave them a couple hints, and if they still didn't get it, she provided them with a QR code, which would take them to one more link, just to kind of give them one more bit of information before they had to make a guess and try and figure out what they thought that the item was. So this one in particular took them to Wikipedia about a wasp, so that they knew that that was actually a wasp wing on there. So just fun, interesting, different ways that you can utilize them. More social studies, explore colonial America. Various times our district has used Discovery Streaming and also Learn 360. So what we've done is we've taken the videos, linked them up to the QR code, so you can get the link. Like for Learn 360, it's really easy. They give us a little link that we can take, turn into a QR code. The kids can now take the iPads. They can, because we have a class set of iPads that we can have checked out anywhere. Any of the teachers can check it out. They get headphone splitters. So now two of them can each scan a code, get some review about explorers or whatever topic that you have set up within these charts. And he has them all around the room, so whenever they're doing whatever subject, they can hang up those posters and utilize those in that respect. So this is basically what they did for Learn 360. In our district, we have a place where we can make the link. It's a link that goes right into the QR code for the iPads. So kids love new technology. Kids love to play with this. Kids love to try it all out. They want to do whatever they can do with it. So the teachers are my kids. Think about your classrooms. Think about your building. Do you have a bunch of teachers that would be ready to try all this? Or do you have some that would be like, you know what, Kurt, I think it's a fad. I don't think it's going to last. That's what one of my teachers says. Technology is a fad. I'm like, you know what? We've got to get you going. She's doing a lot more, though. Just so you know, she's doing great now. So what I did with my teachers when we were trying to really push the QR codes and teach them all about them, I set up a scavenger hunt around the building. So what the teachers were given was an initial QR code to start off with, and that QR code would link them to one of 4 items. It was either going to link them to a picture, so when they would scan the code, a picture would show up, so maybe they're starting the library. They'd scan a code of the juice machine, which if you're a seasoned teacher, you knew is down by the gym. So you were in a group of like 6 or 7, so your whole group would mosey on down to the gym. You'd get there and you'd find another QR code. You'd scan that code, and you might have a video. So so now we have 2 ways that the teachers know, okay, well, if I scan a QR code, I can actually use photos, and I can use videos, and these are ones that I uploaded to our school's website. So the little video was showing the waterfall in our pond that we have inside one of the little gardens. So they went running out to the garden. Now, mind you, some of my friends who knew about this were kind of like, oh, Kurt, we really got to do this? Really? Do we really have to? But by the end, they had a blast with it. So once they would get to the garden, they'd scan it, and like we just saw with the 750 BC, a text would pop up. Hey, go over to the computer lab and for your next clue. You get over there, and then when they scan it, a sound bite would play. So you can also take Audacity, do your voice, make it into an MP3, upload that, and now they have an audio direction to get to the next place. So scavenger hunts for the teachers. Also, once they got there, oh, and here's the other thing, because you also know teachers, and lots of you are teachers. I had 7 different trails, because I know what you guys are like. Well, they're going that way, so we got to go that way. Well, but your code took you to the library, and your code took you to the other place over by the garden, and your codes took you out to the track. So you all are crisscrossing throughout the time. And that's the other beauty of it. Some of these was stop 2, but it was also stop 7 for someone else and stop 8 for somebody else. So it was kind of all mixing up the whole time, they had a lot of fun with it. Also, at the beginning of the school year, we have them take a picture, write a little bit about what they did over the summer, and so then as they would get to each station, instead of spending 2.5 hours explaining about their summers, everybody could just read about their summers as they would go through our little scavenger hunt. Cut our time, literally, they were done in 15 minutes, and they had a blast doing it. So that was one year's scavenger hunt. Great to also be able to utilize in your classroom. Set up a little scavenger hunt to teach them around the different areas around there. And you could even leave that up all year long, because we all get new students during the school year, right? So that'd be a great way for them just to kind of explore and learn what are your expectations around the different areas. How are you supposed to act in the book nook? How are you supposed to, deal with the bathroom? Do you flip a sign? Do you do whatever? I decided this past year to differentiate a little bit more for my teachers. And as they got to the different stations, they would see this whole setup. So I dropped it down to 4 trails, but as they got to there, they would have choices that they had to make. So if you were on red trail, on the left here, if you're on the red trail, you would read the question. And that question was, how many continents did the staff visit this summer? So you don't know the answer to that. You take that and you flip it over, and you have 2 choices. If you get the right answer when you put it up there, the code will work. If you put the wrong one up there, it's just going to keep trying to scan. It's just going to keep on scanning, and nothing's going to happen. So the way I played around with that is I would take some of those that had the 2 boxes here, and I'd make the second half also with 2 of the boxes. So the QR code scanner was just totally befuddled. It's like, wait, there are 4, I don't know what to do. So it would never scan. So then they would know that they'd have to flip it over. So this is also a great way that you can do question and answers with your students, set things up for math problems, grammar problems, things of that nature, and they can learn that way. So, as I said, I want some audience feedback because I'm standing in your way from dinner. So we're going to have a little bit of fun here. Last night at the opening keynote, you all saw that they were doing Poll Everywhere. Poll Everywhere is a great little app. It's free. I will apologize now. I did not upgrade the version, so the first 40 people who get in will get a chance to vote for this. But Poll Everywhere is a great tool to be able to utilize with your students. And you don't have to have a QR code scanner, but I want to show you a way that you can utilize it with QR codes. So what's going to happen is you can use your device to text. And so with our situation, that would probably be the easiest for our situation here. If you're at school, though, and you have a class that have iPads, they're not able to text. So that's a whole different ballgame. So what they allow you to do is to create a web link, polev.com/KirkK. So you have a couple options here. You can either visit the website version, which is actually kind of cool because it'll put the whole question on your iPad or iPhone or whatever device you're using. You'll put the whole question there, and you're going to be able to link that. So it's polev.com/KirkK, or that QR code. But wait, there's more. Don't worry, there's other options here. You could also set it up, obviously not with this type of situation, but you could have this up on the wall when you are in your classroom. You could have the first answer up here. The question was, how much have you used QR codes in your classroom? So your first answer would be tons, and the kids love it. The second one would be some, I've dabbled and can't wait to do more. And the other one down here on the bottom right is not at all, but we'll be starting soon. Again, you could text to this number up here and put in this number, or this number. And I've actually made it even better on the next couple slides because, like I said, I came in the other night and made it so that you can't see it. So if you want to say yes, you can either text it by scanning this code. So if you want to say yes, I use it a lot and they love it, that would be the one you would do. And more than likely, we've already hit 40 responses by now because I know how you guys are. Some, I've dabbled and can't wait to do more. Or you can also use someone who's next to you and you can use their handout that's on there. Or not at all, and we'll be starting soon. So the great thing about Poll Everywhere, as you saw last night, is that you have live feedback going on. So right here, this is our live feedback. So as people are submitting, it's showing that some, only 5 of you who got in here, have used it tons. Now 6 have used it tons, and they absolutely love it. Some of you have dabbled, but lots of you, yay, that's my job, that you haven't been doing it and you're going to be starting soon. So hopefully we're showing you lots of ideas so that you can utilize this. So your kids can now come in and you can have a question set up on a poster board with your QR codes, and they can scan their answer and you can start off your lesson for the day. All right, so before this is just really bad and we hit our limit, but that's how you can do it. polev.com/KirkK. In Polev, it allows you to create your own small URL like that. Depending on which one you have set up for the day, they can always scan the same exact code on the different devices, and whichever quiz you have up for the day will be the one that shows up on their iPads. So, and they can also, if you have BYOD in your district, great way for them to start assessing right out of the door, right before morning meeting. 40, then let's keep on moving. Gotta get used to my presenter here. So, raise your hand if you guys have BYOD in your district. All right, bring your own device. BYOD, bring your own device. Thank you. So not a lot. Well, partly, and correct me if I'm wrong, your challenge when you're doing this with BYOD, and if you're not doing it, you're probably thinking, well, this is what I would think would be a problem. I have one kid bringing a Kindle, I have 2 more bringing an iPad, I have someone bringing a Droid, and I have someone bringing in a laptop, and some bringing in some other type of tablet. What kind of lesson are you going to be able to do on all those devices? So, someone has thought about the answer for you. The best way, and that's why I like QR codes for BYOD, is the fact that the QR code levels the playing field. It makes it so that you can send them all for research using their devices, and you can send them to a particular website that you want them to all to go to. They can all scan their QR codes on whichever device they're using, and they're all landing at the same spot. Tag My Doc is a very similar type of a situation. You can take your review sheets that you have created for your students, take them, upload them. It's going to give you a QR code. You post that on the wall when they come in. Hey guys, go ahead and download your handout for this today's lesson. Boop, it's right on their device now. Okay, so it's not even anything you have to host with your technology person at your school and put on your own website. It's right there for you. QRVoice.net. Anybody use Google Translate? All right. Works the exact same way. So QRVoice.net allows you to type in up to 100 characters when a picture is worth 1,000 characters or 100 characters. Type it all in. when you click on this, you get all these different languages to choose from. So as you scan the code, QR voice, what's going to happen? It's going to translate it for you. It's going to speak it to you, so you're going to be able to learn. We have foreign language. We have foreign language in the elementary school at my school for Mandarin Chinese. So this is a great way that the teachers can go and label different things around the room, and it will read it to them in that language, so that the kids can practice listening to that. So a great way for ESOL and for foreign language programs to be able to utilize that. It will say, though, that Scan from QR Code City is the recommended app for it. That's what QR Voicenet actually says, that they prefer that one. And I tried it with other QR code readers, and it did not really work as well. So Scan is a good QR code scanner that actually works with that website. So Linnea, I love Linnea, great little child. 2nd grade. So what we do is, how many times have they read a story, Runaway Ralph, Charlotte's Web, and you say, hey, let's draw our favorite scene from the story. Well, that's great. What's going on in some of those pictures? As a teacher, you don't fully know. You know, yeah, okay, that sounds really great. Well, what about when you hang them up? People are just walking by. Okay, well, by the time we see all 25 pictures, I think we kind of have the story told. So what we've done here is the students actually did this as a writing assignment. They selected their favorite piece from the story. They wrote about a little beginning, middle, and end. They did the typing up and saved them in word processing document. I worked with the teachers, and we basically copied the text and put it into the QR code software. So this one works just like the 750 BC one. So when you walk by with Linnea's work up there, there we go. When that scans, Linnea, Ralph the mouse is on his way to his uncle's. Oh, on the way he ate an apple. It took 20 hours to get there. So when she did all the typing, plops it right into the QR code. That's the QR code that's generated so that anybody walking by can check it out. So the fun thing was, this was like the kids' first experience with QR codes. So like they were absolutely loving it. So we gave, ironically, we gave them the choice for some iPod touches and iPads. If you didn't see it, wouldn't you have thought they would have taken the iPads? I would have taken the iPad. It's cool. They all want iPod touches. It was very interesting. That just kind of blew me away. So they chose the iPod touches for the most part, and they would go around in pairs and check out each other's QR codes. We then hung them up out in the hallway. And so how great would it be if you're a parent walking down the hall, checking out your son or daughter's work, or one of your neighborhood friends, oh, Linnea, I saw your work. It was so cool. You know, that would be great. Well, we took it one step further, and our 6th graders, they came down with their the iPad cart, and they each scanned them. They then had to write as if they were writing to a pen pal about what they read, what they saw in the picture. They wrote back to them, turned those into QR codes, and gave the kids like a secret message from the 6th graders to the 2nd graders. They had a blast with it. So it was great writing for the 6th graders because they had to work on their letter writing, and it was great for the 2nd graders because they were working on beginning, middle, and end, and description. So student artwork. So lots of great ways you can utilize this. Yes?
Have you found that when you put too much text, or type text in there, your code gets so dense and sparse? Do you have any tips on avoiding that besides less text?
Unfortunately, less text is it. Or linking to a blog or linking to an image of all the words. Because Sarah said, hey, Mr. Kohls, let's check this out. How much can we get in there? I'm up for the challenge. Okay, Sarah, let's give it a go. So the kids wrote like a page, plopped it in. It made a QR code. It was as black as the cases on the iPads, but it was trying. There was you could definitely see the squares, but there was no way it could read all of that. But yes, we tried. So I would definitely say turn it into a picture and upload it would probably be the best, or multiple QR codes to tell the whole story. Also turn into a choose your own adventure in that respect. You know, read that part of the story. If you want A, go to this QR code, and B, go to that QR code. Fun things like that. This one was really cute. So if you look at this one on your own later, come on. All right. This is the child reading the entire story. So it's a picture of him. He's showing the story to the kids in the class. The only thing more we could have added was like a little ding to turn the page. But you see him turning the page about the whole throughout the whole story, the story he wrote. So that was also second grade. Learn about animals. This was our first grade class, and they all read their animal reports to me. And I recorded them in Audacity, uploaded those. So now they're doing their research about the animal. They're following their project, and now we're just talking about a presentation way. They got to go into the computer lab and do, we use Pixie at my school from Tech for Learning, so we had them do, I mean, you could do like a kid picture, save those, print them all off. They made them into a book, and we had QR codes with all the kids each reading their own, about their own animal. So this was Duncan talking about the dolphin, so have a fun listen to him a little bit later on. PE. So my PE teacher was talking to me, and he said, you know, I like these QR codes. I don't really see how they can be utilized in PE, but I want to figure it out. So he finally said, you know, is there a way I can take my soccer training videos and deal with this? I said, yeah, let's work this out. So what he ended up doing was making 5 stations in the gym. He put out 5 iPod touches with a QR code. So instead of him walking around to each station and explaining it for 2 minutes, and the whole first group got it. When you had to rotate the, Mr. Levesque, what do we do at this? What do we do at this state? What do we do at this? Well, now he still has the same 10 minutes, but the kids are learning right before they get a chance to do it. There's no more questions. The instruction is right when they need it. So these are little mini how-to videos, you know, at their own pace whenever they need to utilize it. So it worked out fantastically for them. Yes?
So how much video? How many minutes?
It's just linking to the, it's not storing it on your iPad or iPhone or whatever. It's just taking you to a video. So generally, though, the longer the video, the more buffering it's going to take. So you'll want to do it to like little short snippets. Would be recommended, because then you're not waiting for it to try and gather all the information. But his videos were just basically 2 minutes or so. So that worked out nicely for him. And we just hosted them on YouTube, because with our Google Apps for Education, we're also able to utilize Google YouTube that way. So a couple pictures of just the different soccer stations. So as you would scan those, you'll see him doing, he also did them for the juggling unit. And that's the other thing. It's one of those where it's a whole lot easier to do it once and do it right, and then, yes, in the back. Yes? If you, great question. So in YouTube, you don't want to make it public. You would want to do it as unlisted, because anyone who has the link can utilize it. Well, you're going to put the link in the QR code. So yeah, you'll definitely want to make it unlisted, especially if you're utilizing kids. With the teachers, it's not a big deal, unless they're camera shy, you know. So he does all the different things with that. This is not him, but this is a video that he just found online. It talked about all the playground safety items that he really wanted to hit home to the students. So he put out QR codes on the playground equipment. So it was a little how-to video about how to act on our playground. So a little bit of instruction there for the students. Okay, now we get to play with Vert. Remember, Sarah told you guys about this. So, raise your hand if you're familiar with augmented reality. All right, a little bit. You may have heard a little bit about it. Excellent. Well, there's one called Erasmus, which I like. It's actually pretty neat. But this is on Vert, and it utilizes QR codes. So what happens with this situation? When you scan the QR code, it loads the library of the information that you have put in there. So what the augmented reality is looking for is just a regular picture. So what happens with these kids, This is the same class the next year, the ones who were doing the dolphin and the reading. So this is the next year of first graders. They did the same research project, but we stepped it up a little bit. So now when you're going to learn about a grizzly bear, you scan the OnVert code, which you have to use OnVert. It's going to load the library, and then it's going to be looking for this picture. So if I scan that and it's going to be looking, I can't show it over that one or over that one or over that one. When it shows this one, all my information about the grizzly bear is going to pop up. Now with OnVert, I'm going to show you how you can do 3 levels with it here in a second. You get 3 layers. So once I scan over the grizzly bear, those 3 layers will pop up. I can also add audio to it, and if I pay some, I can even do videos. It also will take you to a link. That's the way Sarah figured out a way to move on from a link. So she did a Father's Day present for them just a couple weeks ago. Gave them a little business card from their child. On the back was an OnVert code, and on the front they had to scan a picture of their own child. Scan it. It's a Father's Day message, a picture that they did for them, and then the link took them to a video about them wishing them a happy Father's Day. All right, so let's see how this all works. So the favorite one is not even up there. The favorite one is the wolf spider. So this is the wolf spider. So this is what you would see when you put it up around the hallway. Now I'm going to warn you, it's a little bit of a creepy image when you see it. Their job was to write about the animal, the insect, whatever animal they had or whatever. Then they were to draw a picture of it. When you scan the OnVert, you're going to see the real image, and the kids are reading it. So here's your OnVert code. So you can't use any other QR code reader. You have to use your OnVert app. And here it goes. Doot, doot. So it's going to make a little sound when you see it. And I'm not going to be doing really great with the color here. The other thing you can even do is if you have a partner, the person next to you can have the presentation on the iPad, and you can just scan off of their iPad. So you should see a little pink. It says, one side says scan, and it's going to be looking for an image of a wolf spider. Okay? If you click on the top, the part that says wolf spider, that's the link. I had it go to our school. But you just want it to still be pink, looking for the image, because it's looking for this. So if somebody has wolf spider, so there should be a big wolf spider when you're holding over it that's there. All right, so those of you who can't quite see it, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it'll look like. So we got to do our OnVert. Get out of this app. Here's OnVert. So it's going to scan. So here we are. We're scanning our OnVert. Okay. Hopefully my audio will be good. So now when I go back.
My annual report is on wolf spiders. Wolf spiders live on mountains north of Mexico and all over the world. They have exoskeletons. They look like they have 6 eyes, 8 legs, 2 body parts. They eat other bugs. They have camouflage, a good sense of...
So aside from being a little scary, kind of cool though, huh? So as you saw at the top though, and every time you go back to it, it's going to go there. If you go along the top and click on wolf spider, it should take you to the website where we asked it to go. Here's the next one that you can take a peek at. This is the ISTE one I had taken care of. Again, wasn't sure what the distance and stuff was that was necessary. So the first thing you want to do is scan the code. And thank you, ISTE, for rebranding last night, because when you see the image, you'll realize I had to do some work late last night getting this all organized. Okay, so get it loaded. I hear lots of toot, toot, toot. Okay, and then here's our image. You're hearing me. No, that's what everybody here. Okay, so let me bounce back for 1 second, make sure you guys got that. And then when you hold it over, you should see a 3D picture. Should have the Alamo, the new ISTE image, and then some stars in front. Now, I basically just used like Image Blender or Photoshop to wipe away and make it a transparent GIF. A couple of you guys are getting it. So whenever you see this image, if you have that on Vert with it, you can take care of it that way. So since not everybody can see it, let's take a look up here. We're going to rescan with our device. So there we are, ISTE 2013.
Welcome to ISTE 2013. Thank you so much for stopping by Crackin the QR Code. I hope you've learned about some great resources and tools on ways to enhance your classroom, and I hope you continue to find wonderful and great ideas throughout the conference.
You like the new logo in there? Yeah, so we got that all taken care of. But you see how there's 3 levels that you can do with your pictures whenever you see this image. All right, so on Vert, lots of fun. So more ways that you can use regular QR codes. You can utilize them to involve students and parents. This is that same teacher. You can see her right there. Look at that. I didn't put the picture in upside down. That's how he puts it on his wall, just to mock me when I pull up at school every day. But that way, that's a huge picture. You could literally pull up in the rain and still, like the codes from here. You can pull up in the rain, scan it before you, and just drive on away. So now your parents can check out homework that way. The kids can check out the resource that they're supposed to do for homework that night. And by utilizing a dynamic QR code, he's going to have the option of changing it up whenever he wants on the fly, but not have to change the QR code. Now, you've heard me talk about QR codes, and you've heard me say dynamic, and we're going to talk about the difference here in just a moment. You can also utilize it for differentiation and personalizing things. So you can have 3 different levels. So if you want to have the main lesson and the different pieces that go along with it for whatever subject you're teaching, that's another way of utilizing it that way. So our school utilizes, this is another way of, this is the guy. So we had to make sure he got in here as well. I'm going to go back for one quick second just so I have a chance to say this. So we utilize Mimeo interactive whiteboards at my school. We don't use smartboards. We utilize Mimeo. They have a Mimeo mobile app now, which allows, and it's all based on QR codes, which is why I felt it was relevant to share with you guys, because what he can do is, in the software, he can scan the code as the teacher. Now we start the video here. So when he starts his lesson, he goes up, scans the QR code, and now, very similar to Splashtop, he actually, once he gets it scanned, he is now in control of his computer. So he can open and move things and do all that. Let me move the finger out of the way there. So he can now run the computer from his iPad. He can also go over here to the attendance area, and the students can bring in the class set of iPads or even devices from home, and he is setting up an area where they will go up and they'll scan, and once they scan it, they choose their name off the list. So this is also being kept in the gradebook area, and this is all based on the QR code that is launching all these different pieces for them. The other neat thing about the Mimeo mobile app, not only can he can keep track of his attendance that way, but he can also test them. So he can set up his quizzes ahead of time and put those in. He can do his teaching. So he's going to be teaching with them. He's going to navigate around on there. He's going to do his work. But then, since they're now connected by using their scanning of the QR code, they can answer the questions. So this is a rhyming poem. He wanted to have them find the rhyme scheme. That's the quiz up there. He launches the quiz on their devices now. They can vote on the answers. So now you have a set of classroom responders that the kids can utilize. They also have the ability to have the teacher give the students control of the main computer, so you can work on the different pieces. And so they can share their answers, and they can also put up to 9 mobile devices together so you can see everybody answering together. But I want to tell you about a couple more things, so we're going to keep on moving here. All right, so our gardens. I told you about our gardens. So we have these different pieces out there. The nice thing about dynamic QR codes, and that's why I have this piece, we're getting kind of towards the end here, I want to talk about the difference between the two types of codes. I'm going to set up my codes in my gardens using this vinyl paper that one of our local poster maker people does for us. So now they're weatherproof. So the codes are sitting out on stands, but I don't want to have my second graders come out there, or my first graders to come out and learn about earthworms, and then my fourth graders to come out and talk about Virginia stuff. I want to be able to kind of manage it from afar. So we put up dynamic QR codes. I set up a set of links so that when the first graders come in at 9, they all deal with earthworms. You know, what are you going to see in the dirt? What are you looking for? But then at 10:30, when the fourth graders come in, I go back into the software. I change those 10 links to go from my first grader links to my Virginia links. Same code can go to multiple different places just by changing the link. And that's exactly what Mr. Brown does. He changes the link as each day goes along to whatever he wants them to be learning. Same code, it just keeps pointing in different ways. This would be great for like a class calendar. If you want them to always check their homework, put the code up, have the calendar up, and then they keep scanning it. Each day it's going to be a different assignment for them, or each week, however you'd like to do it. You want to ship it off to grandparents and keep updating the images that are being shown. Maybe you're going to use Animoto to take pictures of the class to share with everybody in the country, or world rather. They scan the same code on their calendar. Always going to be getting different information, but keep using the same code. So, some services that you could utilize for a dynamic code. Now, I'm going to warn you, you may want to play around with regular codes first, which we're going to go through here in just a minute to show you how to make one of those. You'll want to play with those and kind of get a handle to see how those work first, and then this would be a secondary step for you, is to kind of move on to the dynamic codes. But one of them is called Deliver with no E. Okay, so that's a free one that you can utilize. You put in the information, it makes the code, you log back in, and then you can change your link right there. All this other stuff, I don't know. I just leave it at default and keep on moving, and everything's been working great. Another one is SnapView. That's another great one to be able to utilize. As I mentioned, BW Scan used to be really good. It was very user-friendly, but whenever my kids scan them now, it takes them to like search engine stuff, and so I don't use it as much anymore. Those are two that I know are for free that you can sign up for. QRStuff, you can make QR codes with QRStuff, and it doesn't help me any because it's color, but you guys can maybe play around with color. Make colored QR codes, and those could be regular codes. But if you want to do dynamic, they have a almost $4 a month charge, but you can definitely utilize them for dynamic QR codes. Whoops. So, we've been talking about the size of the QR codes, how much information can go in there. I keep referencing tinyURL. That was just one of the first ones I used. I keep using it. I'm happy. It comes out of my mouth really easily. But there's also Bitly out there, goo.gl for Google. What these are going to do is they're going to take these crazy long spreadsheet links, which are going to show up like that as a QR code, and change it to that. With tinyURL and the others, I'm sure with the others, but with tinyURL, you saw how I was able to change that to Crackin Code 2013. You can do that. Definitely think about, is this something I'm going to want to use year after year, make it different, or, because you don't want to use up the same name. But which do you think is going to be easier for something to read? Obviously, the one on the right. I told you that our district upgraded the BlackBerries to iPhones. I didn't tell you we got iPhone 3s. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. The cranks are still working on them, but the cameras are horrible. So the scanner does not work very, very well at all. So you want to have all this airiness in there to make it so that even a 2-megapixel camera or a 1-megapixel camera can actually scan that, because it's going to have a real tough time trying to get that all taken care of. My QR code creator of choice. There's nothing that says none of the other ones work just fine. This is just the one I like to use the most. It's ZXING. It stands for zebra crossing. So if you can think about the stripes of a zebra crisscrossing everywhere, ZXING.appspot.com/generator. Even if you leave off generator, just do zebracrossing.appspot.com. You can still get there. So, even bigger, right there. So let's just see real quickly how easy it is, how quickly it works. There's my mouse. So it's going to jump us here. This is the interface, and it's super simple. As I told you, you can do contact information. My optimal resolution. I can also do a calendar event, email address, geolocation, phone number, SMS, text, URL, or Wi-Fi network. So let's do a text. So we can say ISD 2013, if we can type, is a lot of fun. So I don't really worry about all that, and you just hit generate. So now we have a text message. So that's what that would look like. If I were to go to my scanner, let's try a different scanner. Maybe it'll show up a little bit better. Let's try this one. So now when I scan it, there it is. ISTE 2013. It is a lot of fun. That's how easy and quick it is to make a QR code. That's it. So at this point, all I do is I take and I right-click on the code. I either save the picture and I make sure I know that that's the ISTE 2013 comment or Linnea's Runaway Ralph. I save that image. I put it in a Word document. I put it on a PowerPoint for a presentation, whatever. Or I can even just copy it and paste it. Just copy the image and paste it. All right, so that's how easy it is to make it. I've also just put a couple more of these in here just for your ideas. So you could do gardens one, scavenger in the classroom, cardinal directions. Maybe you want to hang those up around the room. You can have them scan and figure out which way they are in the classroom. Netbooks in an outdoor classroom. Take a picture of it. What do they see? Maybe use a drawing program on a netbook or an iPad. Draw what they see. Maybe annotate a picture. They could then use QR codes nearby that would maybe give them some history about what's going on down by the creek. In the garden, they could learn about habitats. They could learn about different animals that they would find, maybe native birds to your area. All sorts of things like that. There's a lot more here that you can do. Google Forms, you can link them right up to a Google form, and it's super great. One of our teachers, or not one of our teachers, one of our teams even has like the behavior log set up that way so they can scan the code, go right into the Google form, and then they can keep track of behavior in that respect. So, things like that. Choose your adventures type story. We were talking about that a moment ago. Last thing before you guys do head off to dinner, what they'd like us to let you guys know about is please make sure you rate your conference experience. Tell them what you think about the different sessions you go to. So not just mine, but all of the ones you go to. Either put them in your planner, and then you can go under surveys and hit session evaluation, or you can even go back to the website, go back to our session, and then hit evaluate. I'll leave this back up for you guys, but just as a last little piece, again, the difference, that's the actual Crackin code, and that's what the actual link would be like. So you can see it's a lot easier that way. And I just want to say thank you, and there's a couple last little links there for you. But I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great conference, and thanks for stopping by.